All right, so George Pickens is now a Dallas Cowboy, and I saw this early this morning while I was at work, so I had like a good amount of time to like actually think about the trade and see how I felt about it. And the more and more like I thought about it, the more I actually like it. For really both sides, really, because like this stuff to talk about for both sides. So first and first, the compensation. Dallas ended up giving up their third round pick and fifth round pick for the next few years for George Pickens and the sixth rounder. So like I like it because obviously the Cowboys, they already said that like they're not gonna resign George Pickens at that time. So they're gonna let that contract play out. So George Pickens balls out, then like he's gonna be up for an extension maybe. So if not, then he'll just hit free agency and be paid through free agency, and someone will overpay. Hey, either way, if he has a really great season, that I think he will, it's gonna be great for him. And for scheme wise, like the Cowboys really needed this, like a vertical threat and a really great wide receiver like George Pickens, because George Pickens, in my opinion, has top 10 talent, but like so many things, like like is in the way of like how George Pickens is, So like Steelers, they dealt with bad offenses, with bad offense coordinators, bad like just everything could go wrong, can't go wrong. Like they've been having different QBs and stuff like that. So hopefully, with him going to the Cowboys, to which he's having his best QB since he been in the league, and Dak Prescott, like he'll have himself a breakout season, for him. Because the fact that George Pickens even had over 1,000 yards for the Steelers like 2 years ago, when that honestly was one of the worst offenses I've seen ever, and which is astonishing to me. So, hey, it just shows how good George Pickens really can be. And I'll admit, like there is some like concerns for him. You know what I'm saying? Like him being a crash out waiting to happen, and like also him taking plays off, and his route running. I feel like it's somewhat sus, but I feel like like that's more on the offensive coordinator thing. So I think his route running is a little bit underrated. But like like he's a really great talent, has some of the best hands in the league, probably the best hands in the league if you really think about it. And like he's gonna be that vertical deep threat that like Dallas really needs, and the wide receiver too, to complement CeeDee Lamb, which when CeeDee Lamb just plays in the slot most of the time. So he's gonna be really great for him. I'm excited for him, and honestly, like if he shows out, this could be like a top 5 offense for the Cowboys, depending on how they plays out for him. So, but obviously it just has to work out though, because he can't be a crash waiting to happen for the Cowboys, or else he'd be exiled quick. Also, if Dallas does like not resign George Pickens, they're gonna still get a compensatory pick, because he ended up like not signing with them, which basically is the third rounder. So they basically didn't lose a third rounder if he does walk out and stuff like that. So it's really a win-win for the Cowboys. Now for the Steelers, I'm starting to like it more on their side, because this is what I think might happen. I think they're gearing up for next year's draft, where it's more QB heavy, to where like if they're in position to actually like trade up for one of those top QBs and stuff like that, they will trade up for one. Because ever since Big Ben has been retired and stuff like that, they've been through a carousel of QBs to where like they somehow be 9-8, 10-7, or 8-8 back when 16 games. Like point is, they're somehow over around 500 every year, and yet they haven't had like even top 20 QB play for the past few years. So like this coming season might be the year where like they're really gearing up for next year's draft, where they can actually get a QB they actually believe in. And I know y'all probably wondering like, well, what about Kenny Pickett? They drafted him in the first round. Well, Kenny Pickett was in a draft class where like the QBs really wasn't all that year. So like in this next year, where they do have Arch Manning declared for the draft or not, this QB class is supposed to be really, really good. So like they really don't want to miss out on that, and they gearing up for extra draft capital to where they can actually trade up for one. So that's a smart decision. I also did see that Mike Tomlin was the reason why George Pickens got traded, because he wanted him out, so which really, that's a testament to George Pickens and how like a big of a character issue he really is. So, hey, man. But honestly, my only gripe with the Steelers when it comes to this trade is the fact that like they did this after the draft. Like, had they did this before the draft or even during the draft, like I would be okay with it, especially if they like draft a wide receiver. Like, but like that's really been like the biggest thing. I'm like like it kind of puzzles me because like they wait till after the draft for this, so it kind of looks bad now given the fact that like they traded George Pickens after they traded for DK Metcalf, and basically they just have DK Metcalf and just everybody else there. So if they think Roman Wilson's gonna be like the number 2 guy, then hey, that's on them. But like, dude, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I get it because DK Metcalf and George Pickens basically like are the same player, really, where they just vertical deep threats, where also like limited route running. So maybe I can see that, but at the same time though, like man, I don't know, man. It just looks their offensive their offensive weapons they have really is just it's not the best, especially that wide receiver core outside DK. So I am worried about that. Honestly, like they might be again one of the worst offenses in the league. To where like, especially if they add Aaron Rodgers to that team, they actually might finish under 500. And I know everybody keeps saying that, but like this really might be the year where they finish under 500. Like this really might be the year. So, and again, I'm probably gonna be wrong because the Steelers always BS their way into a 9-8 or 10-7 season. So, yeah. But we'll see how it goes for them. But all in all, though, A+ trade for the Cowboys, and I'll give it a B grade for the Steelers because even though I do like them getting rid of a problem and stuff like that, I don't like the fact that like they got kind of less for someone that I think is better than what they traded for Chase Claypool, to which they got a 2nd round pick for him. So yeah. And then they get rid of a 2nd round pick to get DK. So yeah, that's how I feel about that really. So yeah, we'll see how this works out for him.